The auction barn sat on the edge of a dry Texas town, a place where dust moved like smoke and the sun beat down hard enough to crack wood. Inside, the air was thick with heat, sweat, and disappointment. Horses shuffled in crowded pens, their eyes tired, their ribs sharp under fading coats. This was not a place where hope lived. This was where hope came to die. The auctioneer's voice echoed through the wooden rafters as he tried to stir life into a crowd that no longer cared. He slapped the podium with his palm, his patience thinning. "Come on, folks, $50, just 50. Somebody give me 50 for this mare." No one lifted a hand, not a dealer, not a rancher, not even the kill buyer waiting at the back wall with his hands in his pockets. The mare in the ring stood as if she did not expect anything different. Her bay coat was stretched tight across her ribs, her head low, her spirit nearly gone. She looked like a shadow of a horse rather than a living one. This auction wasn't for fine saddle stock or ranch prospects. This was a kill buyer auction, the end of the road. Horses that had worked too long, been starved too hard, or simply grown too old came here to be sold by weight. $50 was more than she was worth in the eyes of the crowd. Maybe 30 if someone needed dog food. The auctioneer sighed. "Walk her around one more time. Let's see the other side." The mare took slow steps as the assistant tugged the lead rope. Dust lifted with every hoofprint. People barely watched. It seemed like the sale would end the usual way, with the kill buyer stepping forward for the lowest bid. Then the mare turned. The room froze. Where ribs and hip bones had once told the only story, her other side revealed something the crowd never expected. Her belly was round and heavy, pulled tight like a swollen drum. Not fat, not bloated. Pregnant, deep into pregnancy. A sharp breath filled the barn. Someone whispered, "She's about to foal." The entire place changed, arms uncrossed, faces leaned forward. Hope flickered where moments earlier there had been none. The mare wasn't just a starving creature at the end of her life. She was a mother carrying new life inside her, and everyone in that barn felt the weight of it. Bidding erupted. 50 turned to 100. 100 turned to 500. Ranchers, dealers, and townsfolk raised their cards as if fighting for a treasure they had only just noticed. The kill buyer pushed off the wall, no longer bored but annoyed. He knew his easy purchase had slipped away. Near the middle of the crowd sat 17-year-old Emma Rodriguez. She had no business being there, no business watching horses sold for slaughter. She had come with her Aunt Maria, who bought and sold horses now and then. Maria wanted Emma to see what could happen to horses when life turned cruel. But Emma wasn't thinking about lessons or business now. She couldn't take her eyes off the mare. The mare wasn't beautiful. She wasn't strong. She wasn't young. Yet something in the horse's tired face held Emma still. The mare looked like she had stopped expecting anyone to save her. Like she was ready to walk onto whatever truck they sent her to without a fight. That made Emma's chest tighten. The bidding climbed again. 600, 800, 1,000. But Emma didn't care about numbers or profit like the rest of the crowd. She cared about one thing. If the mare went to the wrong buyer, that unborn foal would enter a life of fear and misery, maybe never even see daylight. "Emma," her aunt warned, "don't even think about it." But the thought had already rooted itself deep inside her. The mare lifted her head slightly, just a little, as if sensing the sudden change in the room. For the first time since she entered the ring, her eyes held something new. Not hope, not yet, but confusion. Why had the crowd that ignored her suddenly begun to fight for her? A dealer shouted a new bid. Another one answered. The price pushed past what the mare was worth by any normal measure, but there was nothing normal about this moment. Emma's heart pounded. The air felt tight in her lungs. She thought about her college savings tucked away. She thought about every hour she had worked, every dollar she had carefully stored for her future. Then she imagined the mare on a slaughter truck, giving birth in a dark metal trailer. Her hand lifted before her mind caught up. 1,000. The barn turned. Emma swallowed hard. She had crossed the line now. She couldn't take the bid back. Her future shifted with that one word. A rancher countered. 1,200. Another buyer. 15. Emma felt heat rise in her cheeks. She wasn't a dealer. She wasn't a horse trader. She was a girl with a soft heart, standing in a place where soft hearts weren't supposed to exist. But she didn't lower her card. Nobody knew it then, not even Emma herself, but the next choice she made inside that dusty auction ring would shape the rest of her life. It would change a forgotten mare's fate and spark a story that would stretch far beyond that Texas town. She inhaled and spoke again, steadier this time. 3,000. The entire barn stilled. Even the mare lifted her head a little higher. The barn went silent after Emma's bid echoed through the rafters. Dust hung in the air like it was afraid to fall. The dealer who had bid 3,200 shifted in his seat, thinking long and hard. For a moment it looked like he might challenge her again, but then he lowered his card. The auctioneer slammed the gavel down. Sold, lot 47, to bidder 156 for $3,400. Emma's legs felt weak. Her Aunt Maria stared at her as if she'd lost her mind. Emma, that was your college money, all that work, all those years. You threw it at a horse that might not even live. Emma didn't answer. Her voice wasn't steady enough. She just felt something pulling her toward the mare, something stronger than fear, stronger than logic. After the papers were signed and the money was gone from her account, she walked to the back pens where the mare stood alone, tired and confused. Up close, the mare looked even thinner. Her belly seemed too heavy for her frail frame, but when Emma stepped closer, the mare lifted her head. For the first time, Emma saw a spark, small like the glow of a dying fire but still alive. "Hi, girl," Emma whispered. "You're safe now." The mare blinked slowly. She didn't move away. Loading her into Maria's trailer took patience. The mare hesitated at the ramp, trembling with exhaustion. But Emma held the lead rope gently, her voice calm, steady, warm enough to melt fear. After a long minute, the mare stepped inside. Emma felt her heart swell. She had saved a life, maybe two, but saving them would not be easy. The first week felt like a storm. Emma had no barn of her own, no land, no experience with a starved horse. Maria helped her find emergency boarding at a small ranch just outside Austin. The owner, Janet McBride, took one look at the mare and let out a breath. "She's in bad shape," Janet said. "We'll give her a clean stall, hay, mash, and time." Emma stroked the mare's tired neck. "I'll do whatever she needs." A vet arrived by afternoon. Dr. Robert Chen examined the mare slowly and carefully. He checked her eyes, her teeth, her heartbeat, her belly. Each test seemed to carve a deeper line on his face. "She's starving," he said. "She's anemic. Her hooves are a mess, but the pregnancy—" He pressed his hand gently against the mare's swollen belly and paused. "She's very big for a single foal. This could be twins." Emma blinked. "Twins? Horses don't usually, right?" "They don't survive often," Dr. Chen said. "Twin pregnancies fail 90% of the time. Sometimes both foals die. Sometimes the mare does too." Emma felt the world tilt beneath her feet. Maria shook her head. "This is why you shouldn't have bid. You can't save every horse." But Emma wasn't listening anymore. She was staring at the mare's swollen belly, watching it move with small, weak kicks. The idea of losing them felt unbearable. She didn't know why, but she felt tied to this horse in a way she couldn't explain. "I'm not giving up," Emma said softly. The mare needed a name. Something gentle, something that promised a new start. "Luna," Emma whispered, "because you were found at night, and nights don't last forever." The next days were long and quiet. Emma came before school, after school, and late into every evening. She hand-fed Luna small meals to avoid overwhelming her weak body. She brushed her gently, cleaned her hooves, talked to her about everything and nothing. Luna slowly began to change. Her coat brightened, her ribs softened, her eyes warmed. 8 days after the auction, Janet met Emma at the gate with urgency in her voice. "Luna's in labor." Emma's heart jumped. She ran to the foaling stall. Luna lay on her side, groaning with effort. Dr. Chen arrived moments later. "We'll hope for one," he said, "but prepare for two." The barn went still. Only Luna's labored breaths filled the air. At 3:47 p.m., the first foal slipped into the world. A tiny bay colt, no bigger than a sack of grain. He was half the size he should have been, but breathing. Emma cried with relief. 12 minutes later, Luna strained again. Dr. Chen's face tightened. "Here comes the second." A filly arrived, even smaller than her brother. She didn't move. She didn't breathe. Emma's knees buckled as Dr. Chen worked frantically, clearing the filly's airway, rubbing her chest, urging life into her. Seconds dragged like hours. Then the filly gasped. Emma covered her mouth, tears falling fast. "Luna, you did it," she whispered. Dr. Chen looked stunned. "These foals shouldn't be alive. They're underdeveloped. Their odds are still low, but they're here." Emma reached out and touched their tiny heads, one trembling, the other barely steady. "Welcome to the world," she whispered, "both of you." Luna nuzzled her foals weakly. Even starved and tired, she lifted her head to pull them close, her love stronger than her frail body. Emma watched them, her heart opening wider than she thought possible. She didn't care about college right now. She didn't care about the money she'd lost. All she cared about were the 3 lives lying in that stall. She didn't know it yet, but this moment, the night of the impossible twins, would change the Wild West for her forever. The night after the twins were born, the ranch was quiet under the Texas sky. The stars hung bright above the paddock, and the lamps inside the barn cast a soft glow over Luna and her tiny foals. Emma sat on a stool beside them, her head heavy from exhaustion. She hadn't slept in nearly 2 days, and worry sat in her chest like a stone. The twins were impossibly small. Apollo, the colt, could barely stand without wobbling. Artemis, the filly, was so light that Emma could lift her with one arm. Dr. Chen had warned her again before leaving. "These foals are fighters, but the odds are against them. Keep their feed steady. Keep them warm. They'll need constant care." Emma nodded, even though she had no idea how she would manage constant care while still going to school. But then she looked at Luna, watching her fragile body bend protectively toward her foals despite her own weakness, and Emma found her answer. She would do whatever it took. The first 72 hours tested her beliefs, her strength, and her heart. The foals couldn't stand long enough to nurse, so Emma and Janet bottle-fed them every 2 hours. Emma slept in short bursts on a pile of hay outside the stall. Every time one of the foals coughed or stumbled, her heart raced. But slowly, the impossible began to shift. On the second morning, Apollo stood without help for the first time. His legs were thin and shaky, but he stayed up long enough to nuzzle Luna's side. On the 4th day, Artemis pushed herself to her feet. She swayed like a leaf in the wind, but she stayed standing long enough to take a few steps. Luna watched them both with tired, grateful eyes. Dr. Chen returned on the 10th day, expecting the worst. What he found instead left him speechless. "They're gaining weight," he said. "Their lungs sound strong. Their heartbeats are steady." He glanced at Luna. "I don't have a medical explanation for this." Emma touched Luna's neck softly. "Maybe miracles don't need one." Quote, Word spread fast across the county. The story of the starving mare with the miracle twins reached people who'd been inside the auction barn that night. They remembered the girl who spent her future on a horse others had thrown away, and they wanted to help. Hay deliveries showed up at the ranch. Feed sacks came with handwritten notes taped to them. Saddles, tack, blankets, and medicine were donated. Money arrived in envelopes and online messages. A local feed company offered 6 months of specialized grain for Luna and the foals. Janet watched the growing mountain of support and turned to Emma one evening. "People aren't just helping Luna," she said. "They're helping you. They think you're meant to save horses." Emma laughed softly. "I'm 17. I don't even know what I'm eating for dinner most nights." But deep down, Emma felt something stirring, something that felt like purpose. "You saved Luna," Janet said. "Then you saved twins that shouldn't be alive. People want to stand behind that." Emma looked out at Luna and the twins, standing in the golden dusk, their outlines soft against the fading sun. She felt a warmth in her chest she couldn't ignore. "I think," Emma whispered, "I'm going to start a rescue." And she did. She called it Luna's Legacy Rescue, because the miracle began with Luna, the mare no one wanted. With help from Maria and Janet, Emma registered a small nonprofit, rented a tiny property outside town, and used the rest of her college savings to buy equipment. She worked at the rescue every day after school, late into the night, and every weekend. Emma learned to treat wounds, manage feed, calm frightened horses, and work with vets. Within a year, Luna's Legacy Rescue had saved 23 horses from slaughter. By the time Emma turned 20, she was running the rescue full-time. The number climbed to 90, then 200, then hundreds more. Luna became the rescue's heart. Her gentle nature helped troubled horses find trust again. Apollo and Artemis grew into strong, healthy horses who later became therapy partners for children with disabilities. The rescue grew from one small barn to 30 acres, then to 3 separate properties totaling 200 acres. Years passed like seasons turning. Emma postponed college, then returned years later and earned a degree in nonprofit management. But she always said her real education came from Luna. When Luna passed away at age 24, over 300 people came to her memorial. Volunteers, adopters, donors, children who had learned confidence beside Apollo and Artemis. All of them stood beneath the wide Texas sky to honor the mare who changed everything. Apollo and Artemis lived long, full lives. They passed within months of each other at 21, together until the end. Their graves rested beside Luna's under a spreading oak tree. A stone marker read, "Luna, the mare nobody wanted who saved them all. Apollo and Artemis, the impossible twins who believed in miracles." Emma, now in her 40s, still runs Luna's Legacy Rescue. She has saved more than 1,800 horses. Her name has traveled far beyond Texas, but she always returns to that one dusty night in the auction barn. She tells people, "I didn't choose Luna. Luna chose me. I was supposed to spend my college money on a new future. I just didn't know that future was standing in a kill pen waiting for someone to say, 'I'll bid.'" Quote, "Whenever a frightened horse enters her rescue, thin and trembling the same way Luna once was, Emma kneels beside it and whispers the words that changed her own life. 'You're safe now. I've got you.' And in that way, Luna's legacy lives on.